This is MakerGalaxy.
We're always talking about the future of design, the future of technology, the future of making. In a world where audio devices can turn dance moves into beats. A world where connected ambient lighting can bring the weather outdoors, inside. How do we find the next big thing? MakerGalaxy is a show that explores the crossroads of design, technology, and the future of making. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Simon Martin, and this week we talked with Harold Stewart, founder of LiquidOff. LiquidOff is an eco and human-friendly liquid-repelling spray that started off as a side project of Harold's, and he has since raised over $100,000 and counting, with over 2 weeks left to go for his Kickstarter campaign. We'll talk with Harold more in depth about how he went from electrical engineering to developing liquid-repelling formulas, how he plans on marketing the product, as well as what he thinks is the best trait of somebody who wants to push their product idea out there, and more. Today's episode is brought to you by the Objet 500 Connects 3 from Stratasys, the world's only color and multi-material 3D printer. Offering incomparably brilliant and consistent colors, plus transparent colors, the Objet 500 Connects 3 lets you create the most true-to-life modeling possible. Find out more at stratasys.com. Welcome, Harold. We'll get into LiquidOff in a little bit, but before we do, we want to know, where can we find the best milkshake on earth, and what flavor is it?
The best milkshake on earth, I want to say in Jamaica. I've had some very good ones in Jamaica, and my favorite personally is chocolate.
Well,
anything chocolate, and
can't go wrong with that. So let's start from the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit more about who you are, Harold, and what your background is?
Oh, sure. So about me, up until about a month ago, I was an engineer working as a contractor for the Department of Defense. Today I'm working full-time on developing my product. I'm from the island of Jamaica, came to the U.S. when I was 12 years old, went off to college, got my degree in electrical engineering. 2 days after graduation, I started working for DoD. And today it's just all about LiquidOff at the moment. So
okay, how did you even get into electrical engineering to begin with?
Well, I was always fascinated by technology. I was always fascinated with fixing broken things. I was always going around breaking stuff just to fix it. And I just figured being an engineer would actually give me the best platform of doing that.
Excellent. That's a familiar story that I've heard time and time again. So you have a background in electrical engineering and are now developing liquid-based products. Last
Correct.
time I checked, liquid and electricity do not go well together. How did this happen?
Well, to be honest, I was always intrigued by nanotechnology and the properties behind it. And I knew of its capabilities, and I wanted to basically create something that was just not really on the market today. So, after babysitting my niece and nephew, they're always spilling stuff on themselves, and I'm terrible at babysitting. So I figured, why not? So I figured I needed something safe, something eco-friendly, something green, something I can use for my niece and nephew just to help me out a bit in the babysitting category. And that's really how I became so intrigued by it and went out to create something.
Now, the majority of our guests on the show usually come from the realm of product design, and one of our favorite things to talk about is inspiration and process. And so you saw a problem in your family, niece and nephew, making a mess, and you weren't very great at babysitting, as you stated. So you have developed a unique liquid formula. Where did your inspiration to even create the product come from in terms of development? I mean, how did you know which materials or which liquids would go together?
Well, think about it. In today's day and in the age, everything is going high tech, from your watch to your glasses to your books. But the clothes we wear every day, and the car seats we sit in on a daily basis, or sofas, or tablecloths, they're all just basic, and they have been for a while now. Studies in hydrophobic nanotechnology is at an all-time high, so we knew that was the route we needed to go. The parents' need for a product like this, as well as the possible applications for this technology, kind of gave us the green light to spend months developing a viable solution.
Okay, and so LiquidOff is that solution. And
yes.
You've been generating a good amount of attention since launching your Kickstarter campaign a couple weeks ago, and have already, at the time of this recording, just topped over $103,000 with your original goal of $25,000. So, first of all, congratulations. And second, how does it feel?
It definitely feels great. We chose Kickstarter as a platform because we wanted to validate the market. We knew there was a need, but just how big of a need is there? And I think with the success of our campaign, I want to say that there is definitely a need for this in every household.
Okay, and so what exactly is LiquidOff?
To break it down, it's basically silica, dispersant additives, and dispersed water. So it's a very simple makeup that is water-based. Every other product on the market to rely on a chemical-based product. We pride ourselves on being different, which is why we opted to go this route.
How exactly is it different from other products such as Never Wet? Is it primarily just water-based?
Well, yes, aside from that, we had 6 things in mind when we created LiquidOff. Safe, non-toxic, green, eco-friendly, effective, and consumer-friendly. This is not something new, and we didn't reinvent the wheel here. We basically simply took a existing product such as Neverwet, which caters to an industrial market, and we aimed it at a consumer market that's more consumer-friendly and eliminates all the toxicity and harmful chemicals.
And will it work on electronics, or is it primarily for fabric-based materials?
We are actually currently working on a solution for electronics, and we should have that completed in about a few weeks.
Oh, wow.
However, yes, our current solution, we do not recommend it for electronics, however.
Between both of these solutions, where do you see your product being used primarily?
Well, between both the electrical and the textile and fabric solution, we are definitely targeting a consumer market. We need it to be in every household. So we've definitely been going after mom and pops, different clothing manufacturers, and just various accounts where it can be used by a consumer, not just an industrial application.
Okay, so you aren't pursuing industrial applications at this time?
No.
What kind of electronics will this be able to work on? I mean, is it where do you see that being used?
Well, the electronic components will be great for cell phones, your iPhone, laptops, headphones, anything within that area. As I say, it's just for electronics on a wider base, so it's not anything specific.
So will these components have to be taken apart and every little piece of a chip be sprayed? Or, I mean, how do you see people protecting their electronics with this?
Well, it's twofold. One, you can have a deep waterproofing, or just a simple waterproofing for just accidental spills, or especially actually drop it in a fish tank. For a deep treated solution, we do recommend just taking the battery out and just spraying the internal as well as external. So it's not really pulling the phone apart, taking out the electric board components, just simply the battery case as well as the exterior.
So, I mean, how wet will something be able to get? Like, will somebody be able to go into a pool with a Bluetooth head device? Yes,
based on our testing so far, we've tested it on a few iPhones, and we've had it disperse, submerge in water for over 30 minutes and counting. So
if this is coming out in a few weeks, how come you chose to launch this Kickstarter for the fabric solution? Are you going to be launching another Kickstarter for the electronic solution too?
No, we're not just building a product, we're building a company. So aside from electronics and textiles and fabrics that we have right now, we're also working on one for metal as well as another for multi-surface applications such as woods, plastics, etc. And we've had a lot of people asking for a car exterior solution as well. So we'll be looking into that as well. So we're really trying to build an enterprise here, not just a product. So we don't will be going toward Kickstarter again for our other solutions. Rather, with our success so far on our current Kickstarter, we have the funds to delve off into other industries.
Okay, and so let's back up a little bit more. And so how do you even start these initial recipes? Do you have a chemist on your team, or I mean, is it you? How does this work?
Well, as an engineer, you kind of like to be a part of everything. So when I first started, it was just me. I was doing a lot of research, testing, and just, doing a lot of stuff on Google. And eventually it came to a point where I was onto something. So I definitely reached out to a few labs, and eventually I chose one, and they were able to create the solution based on my specifications.
Clearly you have an engineering mind. You want to take things apart, put them back together again. But it's different with liquids compared to physical components. So you basically taught yourself chemistry with Google and are now launching a chemistry-based product.
Yes, I did have an extensive knowledge on chemistry. With my background in engineering, we did a lot of chemistry, a lot of science. So I knew that I had the knowledge base to actually get something like this started. So it was not completely new. I do use this as an engineer as well.
Okay. But, I mean, as an electrical engineer, though, I wouldn't guess that it's something you use regularly.
No, not regularly. Not at all.
So when was your aha moment when you knew that you had the perfect recipe?
The aha moment. Let's see. I want to say it was the moment we realized that basically our solution, all of our ingredients, because we went with a water-based solution, the moment we realized that they bonded together to create what we wanted, and we didn't have to sacrifice and include any harmful chemicals, because originally it was just trial and error. And eventually we got to the point where something just clicked. It worked. It wasn't perfect, but it worked at a point where we knew we were on the right path. So I don't believe there was really a aha moment per se because of, all the trial and error that we've been through, but it was just really that first hint where we knew that our current makeup were actually viable.
So it was, you were working iteratively and you basically just had a bunch of prototype solutions and then one of them happened to work. How are you testing the solutions?
Well, originally I was testing, just, in a local lab. And eventually when I got to a certain point, that's when I reached out to a professional lab, and that's when they really did their thing. We told them what we needed. We told them our requirements, our specifications, and we, told them our, ingredient makeup. And really, they were the one who really handled it from there. And I was just there as just supervising the whole thing.
So when you were testing, did you ever get your nephew or niece and spray them with the solution, or their clothes at least, and then dump a bucket of Kool-Aid on them? I mean, how did you test that?
Not in the original testing. I didn't want to really expose my niece to my, chemicals and.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
So originally they were the part of the test, and eventually after we had a working and viable solution, we did start that testing and children clothing, etc. So, our testing just included various different liquid-based solutions, from water to juice to wine to coffee. So it was a simple testing.
Okay, so once you knew that you had your final product, you touched base on this a little bit, but how did you know that Kickstarter was the best route to take for your product?
Well, aside from the fact that we needed the necessary funds to get LiquidOff fully developed and ready for production, we definitely wanted to validate our product. We knew there was a need for it. We didn't know how much. And before we went any further, we just wanted to make sure that there is a market for it, there is a demand. And Kickstarter as a platform itself has done that for a lot of companies, and I wanted to be a part of it. I'm a huge fan of crowdfunding, and I've definitely backed a few projects myself.
And as far as Kickstarter campaigns go, yours is well polished and clearly communicates what it is that you're trying to sell. So with that being said, what was the biggest challenge of putting the campaign together and getting the word out there?
Well, the biggest challenge I want to say is definitely reaching out to different PR firms, marketing. That was really the most difficult part. We had a great product, but we needed exposure. And we needed some way of getting out there. So we definitely reached out to bloggers and stuff, and not just to the publications. We reached out to bloggers, we reached out to news station or local news, and we just tried to hit every platform that we could. So honestly, I want to say that just getting our name out there and the exposure was the most difficult part for us.
Definitely, and that's a theme that we keep hearing a lot about, but it sounds like you definitely knew how to handle that. So would you say that might have been the single greatest reason for your sudden success with the funding?
Yes, we believe so. Aside from having a great product means nothing without eyes on it. So definitely our media campaign was, and actually is, the reason behind our success.
Excellent. And alternatively, I guess that kind of ties into my next question. What has been the best part of the journey so far?
The best part is just reaching out to different people within different industries. We've grown we've definitely grown, and we've expanded our contacts and our networking capabilities by so much. And it's really just hitting us that we're onto something bigger than we originally thought. So just the entire exposure of being exposed to different industries and contacts. And
you touched base on this earlier too a little bit, but aside from getting the fulfillment aspect in place for LiquidOff, are there any other cool and useful products that we can expect from you guys in the near future besides the electronics spray?
Well, we're always working on something new. As I said, aside from the electronics, we're definitely working on one for our vehicles and also multi-surface applications. At the moment, with our current funding, we are not working on anything new until we are fully into production of our first production run for Kickstarter, because we don't want to get into too much and then we're unable to fulfill our pledges to our Kickstarter backers.
Exactly. So with that, I have one last question for you, Harold. What is one piece of advice you can give our listeners who might have an idea similar to like how you did and want to get their product idea out there?
Honestly, I would say you have to take a leap of faith. You have to go all in. With me, it was not easy. I had a career. I was an engineer, and to actually quit a job was the hardest part to getting started, but it's all worth it at the end. So my one advice would be just to take that leap of faith and do something extreme to the point where you know that it's going to get you to the next level.
Great answer, Harold. Well, Harold, thank you so much for joining us on the show today, and good luck with the rest of your campaign and product.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Today's episode was brought to you by the Objet 500 Connects 3 from Stratasys, the world's only color and multi-material 3D printer. Offering incomparably brilliant and consistent colors, plus transparent colors, the Objet 500 Connects 3 lets you create the most true-to-life modeling possible. Find out more at stratasys.com. Thanks for checking us out today, and be sure to head over to liquidoff.com to find out more about LiquidOff and their upcoming product releases. On our next episode, we'll be talking with the design team behind the upcoming Homey Box Hot and Cold Lunchbox design that's launching on Kickstarter July 7th. I'm your host, Simon Martin. Stay tuned and check in with us next week on MakerGalaxy.
A production of EBD Media.